I'm long range. Me and the team on the same thing. Stayed down, never switched up. Only thing changed was the game. I'm in the zone now. Nothing can change what we on now. When I pull up, know it's going down. Foot on the gas, ain't no slowing down.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Clydesdale Media Roundtable, where we have Amy, Kat, and myself here just to hang out with you for about 30 to 40 minutes today. Beautiful hot day here in Ohio. And we've got some exciting stuff happening this week, at least for me. I'm super excited about and super stoked that we get to move on to a new competition and hopefully help us move forward as a community. So what's going on with you guys?
Well, I've been dipping my toe back into work. If you can see, I'm here in my lovely kitchen right now at work. This is my prep week to prep for teacher prep week to prep for the kids.
Prep of the prep.
Yep.
So that's like my meeting to prep for the meeting for the meeting.
Yep. I mean, it's funny, like I'll knock off 3 things on my list and then 3 more things like I've added to the list. So it's like my mind is going so many different places. So it's nice to take a break and talk about something else.
Yeah. I hate the meetings for the meeting for the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
I hate meetings, period. So
Me too. And I also hate emails. So I get when people are like, this should have been an email, but nobody reads emails anymore because we're inundated with emails.
Yeah. It's so funny. And this is no knock on. So I've been communicating with the people at Legends who are running the CrossFit Masters games. And all I want to know is like when check-in starts tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And I've sent emails and I get answers back with a lot of details, but not the detail I asked about. So I have like a lot of information that they keep coming back to, but I also know like it's got to be like pure hell right now trying to set this up, trying to get everything ready for tomorrow, all that kind of stuff. And so I understand, but really I just want to know like when check-in starts.
Could you ask an athlete? Do they know?
So I finally did.
Okay.
I reached out to an athlete and said, when are you guys told it's going on? And they're like, we can come anytime between 10 a.m. and 8 p.m.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a long time.
That's a long day.
That's a big window.
Yeah.
So hate to be the volunteer running that sign-in desk. But yeah, but super excited to be there. It's just, there's a lot of like questions I have about what's going to happen. And because it's 3 floors, one with a professional rig, one with an A-frame rig, and one with no rig. And they're going to be running events. And so depending on your age group, you will run in a different order than maybe another age group because you're just rotating the 3 floors. So like 35 to 39 may start on floor 1, 40 to 44 may start on floor 2. And so,
fascinating. That's a logistical nightmare to think about.
Corey called out where I got the information from.
Yeah.
He said, I was going to say, I bet Rudy knows. Well, I bet Lynette knows.
And that's
Lynette filled me in.
Yeah. That's always a struggle having multiple floors on a competition, for a competition. Scott, we know all too well what that's like at MFC when we tried to do that. And the only person I know that does it really well, aside from the CrossFit Games, would be the MAC. So that team has always had 2 floors. That was sort of a novel idea back in the day when some smaller, some larger local competitions started to get bigger. They always had 2 floors and they managed to make it work. But and TFX always had multiple floors as well and does a pretty good job with that. But if it's your first time doing it, it's definitely a challenge.
Yeah, I forgot you brought your phone voice with you today.
Oh yeah, this is this is day 1, 2, 3, 4. This is day 5 of this phenomenon. And on Saturday, I was lucky enough to attend a CrossFit competition where luckily all I had to do was scoring, because if I had to judge or compete or anything else, I mean, I literally had a Post-it note. They set me up in the office of the gym, and I literally had a Post-it note that said, I have laryngitis. because people were asking me questions, and I was like this. And then the other post-it note I had was, I don't know, I don't work here. Because I don't know how many times people they needed to let me know that there wasn't toilet paper in the bathroom. Somebody from the power company had shown up and needed to talk to the owner. How much are these protein bars? Where can I pay for, my Fit Aid and all this stuff? And I'm thinking, oh my God, stop. And this is 1,000 times better than it was on Sunday. I mean, literally, I had like one octave and it was way, way low, and anything higher than that just came as a squeak. But yeah, Corey, I like this version of my voice. I really do like, but Saturday was ridiculous. It was tough. And I didn't know if I was sick or not. I mean, I obviously have like a cold or something, but I wasn't sure if I had something more serious. And every time I had to talk to someone, I had to get in their ear and talk to them. I felt awful about it.
Let me give you my germs.
Like, I don't know what's happening. So luckily I've taken 18 million, what tests, and they're all negative. So I just have a bad cold, or maybe I have allergies. Maybe I need to start taking the Scott Schweitzer route.
Natalie had this respiratory thing for like a month, actually 2 months.
You're saying she had like walking pneumonia,
and
right?
She has walking pneumonia. Yeah.
That's crazy. I mean, I should go to the doctor, and, Mike's been telling me like, hey, just do like a telehealth or whatever, between getting Eliana ready for her first day of school today and dealing with a dying dog. And it's just crazy. So I saw Dashi today. I went and visited him. Chris sent me a text this morning and said he collapsed again. So I went to the house after the gym and took a look at him, and he's still eating chicken and wagging his tail and acting, slow, but not unhappy or in pain. So he's kind of still hanging out, doing his thing. It's a roller coaster, and I can't keep getting these texts like, hey, he collapsed. I'm like, oh my God, okay, is today the day? Well, no, he's still wagging his tail. What should we do? And I'm like, I don't know. Ooh.
Oh, you going to put him up there? Oh, no, thank you. Okay.
Hey, Charlie.
It's actually this one. There we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
It's funny you talk about dogs. I found out we haven't talked publicly since I found out last Wednesday that I am fully allergic to my dog.
Good grief.
I finally went to an allergist who did the skin test and then followed it up with like an injection test where they go deeper into the body. And then they did a rhino nose test with everything. And that's where I found out finally that I'm allergic officially to the dog and to just about everything outside.
Mm-hmm.
I know. Everything. All the things.
So I start immunotherapy in 2 weeks.
I think Charlie did that too.
I did a lot of injection tests.
Yeah. But I mean, didn't you do immunotherapy? Didn't you get allergies?
No.
Oh.
I didn't get shots. Forget that.
It's fine.
You're going to get shots eventually, right? The immunotherapy is sort of like a hyper boost of what the shots would be, and then you'll
shots is the shots.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's like you're
shots.
3 weeks of shots in a day or something, right?
Well, you can do it every week for a year, or you can elect to do the rush where you do 3 months of shots in 5 hours.
And that's what you're doing, right?
I'm electing to do that. Because you don't see relief until 3 months. I've been dealing with this way too long. I need some relief from this. So yeah, I'm just going to go in there every 20 minutes for 5 hours. You get a shot. And then you do weekly for the rest of the year, what would have been the year. And then you move to biweekly, and then you'll move to monthly, and then you should be done. But it is a long process.
I actually did start that. You're right.
That's what I'm saying. I know.
I did that 5 hour thing. I remember it.
You
now.
did.
Mm-hmm.
Did it help? Did you? Oh, you're in the middle of it now?
No, I did it years ago.
It's kind of like day one. He does the first part, and then he just doesn't
I
make
did
it
the 5 hours, and then I was out.
He did the tough part, and then when it got easy, nah.
He didn't do the follow through. Weird.
I decided to try something else.
Yeah. Oh. Why Kat just leave? Oh, she's gone. So Charlie, let's talk about what happened to your back.
Listen, when you don't do mobility and you don't have a core, everything seems to just tighten up when you do things.
Was it during the kettlebell swings, I'm guessing?
It's probably during the clean and jerks.
Oh, I forgot that part.
What do you mean you don't have a core? Are you like the scarecrow? Or you don't have
Basically.
He thinks he
No
doesn't have
core
core.
strength.
I think you just maybe aren't engaging your core.
There you go.
Hey, there's nothing to engage.
Charlie's on the free trial for allergy
There's nothing
test.
to
But-
engage.
What I want you guys to
Yeah.
hear about, though, first is what happened this morning when you were supposed to be in my class. What happened there?
See, what happened was the bus had skid outside, see, and then when I watched it, my watch died in the middle of the night, which has my alarm.
Isn't it
Henceforth
weird
and hitherto.
with all the technology that we have that Charlie's alarms, he still misses it?
I'm not letting the man know where I'm at.
Okay.
You guys have your newfangled stuff. I got an old school, that little brown. That's what I need. That brown clock,
Oh yeah, the
red digits on it.
I have one of those next to my bed.
Yep.
It doesn't have an alarm, but it tells me what time it is because I can't stand like having to look at a phone or a watch to see.
Yeah.
Amy, are you still using your Whoop?
no, I quit that about a year
Yeah.
ago.
Is anybody? Am I the only one?
The Whoop.
Because my Whoop is my alarm clock. Like if I don't have this, I don't. It's basically the only reason I wear it anymore is to tell me how many hours I didn't sleep
Yeah,
and to wake me up in the morning.
I just pay a different app to tell me that.
Okay.
What's going on with Kat's voice? Did I miss that part?
Yep,
Yeah,
you did.
I got the boogie woogie flu, according to
Oh.
Corey.
Oh. We probably make some money on this.
Well, that's
I'm
what I said. I
trying.
didn't realize she was bringing her phone voice to the podcast.
Corey says Charlie has that brown clock that plays yacht rock when it goes
Yep.
off. Smooth
Yep.
sounds.
Eases me right back into my dreams.
Yeah. So were you able to do any of the workout?
Yeah, I did all.
Oh,
except
you said
for the
you
last
said
round
okay.
of kettlebell swings. I was like, is
Yeah.
it worth it? No.
Well, you were missed in the back corner.
Which I'm not allowed to be in anymore.
He's not allowed to be. Yeah. Did you guys hear this? You didn't hear it. We didn't talk about it.
Mm-mm. What happened?
Well, I'm one of Charlie's accountability coaches, as you all know, because that's why I share his dirty laundry on the
Which
podcast.
she quits doing as much as I quit.
I do it, and then I just get tired of.
See? What kind of accountability partner is this?
I get tired of the lack of response. So, anyways, he is not allowed. So there's this back corner that he likes to go in and work out in. And I've told him he's no longer allowed to go back there because I think he doesn't push as hard when he goes back there. And so he needs to be a part of the main area unless there is somebody back there who will push him, like one of the other coaches that might come in and work out. And he has agreed upon, right? You agreed that was
Yep.
correct. Okay.
Well, today was me and Marcus, so
Okay.
that wasn't
good.
fun.
Nope.
Well, yeah. Wow.
You have some news at your gym.
Yeah. I talked about it a little bit Sunday night, but the O'Connells have sold CrossFit Polaris, what it was now known as IBEX headquarters. They're going back to CrossFit Polaris. Two family members from the gym bought it. And the O'Connell said that they will now just be members starting September 1st. They will shift from being owners to being members and still want to be a part of the community. And that's why they sold it to somebody in-house so it could stay kind of in the family. For those who don't know, Christy's mom and dad owned the gym first, Tony and Donna, and they've owned it for a very long time. Then when Christy and Pat came back to Columbus, they bought into the gym. And I think they all just decided it was a new time in their life when they wanted to focus on other things. So they went ahead and sold the gym. But
what's that going to do for programming?
So according to my inside source who goes to a class with one of the new owners, they are shifting over to a new programming, and they're promoting one of the coaches to head coach and head programmer to do programming. I'm trying to find out if Pat is still going to do IBEX training online.
Right. Or I pay for it. Like they still going to sell IBEX training?
Why?
I don't know. That wasn't part of our email to the community, or
I mean, they've given us no indication that that's going away.
Well, they just started a free trial, which careful because I might sign up for a new block starting next week. So they're clearly
of IBEX stuff. You mean, Charlie?
Huh?
For IBEX?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. Yeah, I mean, I would hope we'd get some notice if they weren't doing that anymore.
Oh, yeah,
I've gotten a lot more questions about that than I have about the gym itself.
Yeah.
Because there's
and I've noticed lately too that the IBEX stuff has gotten really sloppy. Like there's a lot of, like in the description it'll talk about clean and jerks, and in an actual workout it'll say snatches or some other movement. So
welcome to mayhem.
Is it like that too?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it doesn't take much, guys, to just like proofread that stuff, especially if they're selling it for a fee.
Oh, and let me tell you this too. I'm going to go there because I have given the feedback. So I'm not saying anything behind anybody's back. I have given upfront feedback.
Yeah.
But Darren Hunsucker makes the videos for the coaches.
Okay.
It is the biggest amateur hour videos I've ever seen.
Mm.
He messes up about 3 or 4 times at the beginning where I think, hey, dude, could you just edit your videos before you send it out? Like, and he'll give like it's not just a random little thing. It'll be like a totally different number or a totally different round that completely changes the whole stimulus of whatever the workout's supposed to be.
Yeah. I don't, it's not that difficult. I don't understand it, to be honest with you. I feel like a lot of times too, if that's the case, like they're dealing with a year cycle and they're kind of just maybe
cutting and pasting,
regurgitating it and cutting and pasting or whatnot. But I mean, programming's hard. I get it. But if you're selling it, it should be a professional product. And I feel like it's not.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. Oh. Exactly.
People just follow the leader, right?
Yeah.
What is this?
So if you look in the description, and they're 2 different workouts. Back squat,
okay,
max back squat, but yet up here, workout of the day, 7 rounds for time of. So which one is it?
Yeah.
Both.
Here's your strength. Here's your Metcon.
Well, it's bad when you're in the first class and then you're like, wait, this is not supposed to be this.
Poor 5 a.m.ers. They're just
my gosh,
the rest of the day.
Not 10 rounds, it's 2 rounds. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not 400 meters. It was 400 feet. My bad. Whoops.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't want to talk about this, but it's here, and so I'm going to go ahead and pull it up.
Oh boy.
But what I'm hating ever since the games happened and the tragedy that was, the internet is just stupid, man.
I can't even be on it.
It's a dumpster fire.
Stupid.
I was hoping to dive into CrossFit instead of, what's it called? Political drama on the internet. And now I don't want to be a part of any of it.
So the Buttery Bros put out a documentary yesterday, kind of behind the scenes, and maybe 2 days ago. Really well done. Really well done. And they made an announcement that all AdSense will be donated to the GoFundMe for Lazar's family. The AdSense is Google's way of paying YouTubers for what monetization comes through. And the comment is, are you guys going to write off the donations on your tax return? We can skip the Hiller part. He realized that receiving any monetary compensation, even if it is then donated, that is earned primarily due to a person's death is just a really bad look. So here's a group of people trying to do a good thing. by donating the money that they get from this, because they are content creators, that's what they do, and not taking any money for themselves, but to do it and give the money away. And we've got to have people like this attacking them. I find
Douche
it
canoe.
idiotic, stupid. Oh,
Yeah, they took that comment down too, but people just have like itchy trigger fingers right now on the internet. I feel like you can't do anything right.
The training think tank podcast that you were mentioned to us to listen to,
Yeah,
it was really good. And I thought, Travis Mayer and the other
Max.
guys did a great job of talking about, like, you guys from home have no idea what it felt like to be there. And like, it's, and Sky, I know you and Katz both said that too, which was a really good perspective, because the only thing we had to go on was social media, basically.
Mm.
And it was so negative and so hateful. And so it was like hard to even pull up anything on your phone over that weekend, because it was so negative.
when
Yeah, I mean,
people on the internet were saying everything looked like it was back to normal, was the biggest irritant for me
no way.
the whole weekend, because in no way, shape, or form was that weekend normal for us there.
Right.
Mm-mm. No,
Yeah.
and even hearing, Travis's perspective too of the athletes and sort of what happened behind the scenes, and how, the warm-up areas were, and the corralling and all of that. Like, we didn't have insight into that either. Scott and I didn't, but we can only imagine, like, that was so different as well. It's like the whole thing was just crazy. I mean, and even I felt like I even was at odds sometimes with my own friends. Like, even Scott and I during the weekend had differing opinions, and we're like, wait a minute, no, no, not. I mean, it just, everybody was on edge, and rightfully so. But yeah, that shit makes you do weird stuff.
And the whole part I kept thinking about when we're thinking about the community so divided right now, like with what was the right thing to do or how people grieved. And what I kept going back to and thinking is, no matter what, though, all of those athletes that were there are trauma bonded now. Like, nobody else knows what that experience was like. And my hope is that someday that will kind of bring them closer to being together, even if in the moment they needed to respond and react in a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing I know we said we were going to try to do is share a memory every week.
Mm-hmm.
And as I was watching the Buttery Bros thing, which the last 10 minutes was like, that
So
should
good.
have been the memorial.
Yeah, it was great. You're about to get ice in the veins from those immunotherapies.
I wish I would have started them, but no.
Yeah. So if you haven't watched the Buttery Bros, it was just a pretty long episode. It was like an hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah,
I think.
I napped in the middle of it, but yeah, it was good. It was the end was really good.
But I just thought they did overall, like, they did a really good job of storytelling, but also I think being respectful storytelling.
Yeah, for sure.
I liked how they let the athletes speak about
Mm-hmm.
their time, like we've been doing on this show. And so one memory that kind of came up to me was I'd gone to Rogue in 21, maybe.
Yeah.
And worked as a PA for the documentary. And part of that was really just equipping the camera people with their batteries. And so I was stationed in the third base dugout where all the athletes would come wait to be announced out onto the grounds. Mm-hmm. So I'm just sitting there with a couple of volunteers. And every time Lazar would come into the dugout, he would fist bump me. Mm-hmm. And the volunteers are like, do you know him? And before I could say anything, Lazar was like, he's my good luck charm.
Oh.
And like that memory came back because of what the Buttery Bros showed, and
Yeah.
like was so much like every experience I had with Lazar. So I don't know, just wanted to share that one today.
I love how honest everybody was too. Like how they were talking about how fun he was to be around, but how they were like, yeah, he was the biggest shit talker. Like,
Oh yeah.
and I love that they weren't like, oh, you know, like it's true. He was.
Yeah. And I think it was Brent that was saying something about like he was really sad at the award ceremony because usually they you know they all get pizza and sit down, and he's like, and I'd look for Lazar because he's just fun to hang out with. And I think that was a big piece that was missed this weekend too. You know, I understand why it couldn't happen or didn't happen the way it did, but you know, bringing Mike there for the first time and trying to explain to him like what it's like. I mean, that kid, he has no idea what the CrossFit Games is like. And, you know, the award ceremony, everything. I'm like, no, you don't understand. Like people like take off their shoes and they announce the winners of the events and they're all like ribbing and joshing and eating pizza, drinking beer. And it's just like the coolest thing ever. And that's just like a big piece of it where the athletes can relax and sort of be themselves. And it's when they probably do most of their bonding over the weekend because, you know, the competition's over and their guard is down and all that. So it just sucked that didn't get to happen, or, you know, with or without him.
Mm-hmm.
And the other true thing is you learn about the fire of Lazar and Brent saying that there was never a competition where Lazar didn't find the bad ref or the bad judge.
Oh,
yeah. Those are the stories. I mean, like people didn't shy away from sharing those stories.
Yeah, that was great. It's true.
Yeah.
And we've seen firsthand up close him yelling at a judge,
going crazy.
Yeah. Which is awesome.
Passion, man. That's passion.
Yep.
Comes both ways.
Fierce competitor.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we only have a couple minutes left. And one thing I talked about Sunday night that I just wanted to kind of reiterate and maybe try to say clearer this week is I'm having some issues with the PFAA. In its concept, I like what it is, and I think that the athletes need a voice, and they need a unified voice. But I don't know that where the PFAA is today is that voice. I've been a member of a professional organization like my entire time with the state. We have a professional organization that covers the work that we do day to day.
Hi, Sprinkles.
And so with that professional organization are elected officials that represent you. And whenever there's a change to the bylaws or anything like that, there is a vote that happens. And you as members pay dues to have a voting right to then vote on those changes or to vote on something that's done. The PFAA puts out a statement with 3 demands saying that they represent the interest of those who competed in the CrossFit Games season. I have never, ever seen a roster of athletes that are members of the PFAA. I don't know who they represent. I don't know, are there dues paying members? They have a board of directors. Were they self-appointed or were they elected? Like these are things that the PFAA demands transparency from CrossFit. And those are all things that we don't know about their organization. I want them to have a voice. I want them to be able to speak freely about what they think needs to be safer or what they need to be more fair competition. But doggone it, like figure your own shit out and tell me who your members are and do it in a way that makes sense so that you are representing a group of athletes who have a say either by voting rights or through internal meetings, not just a club of self-appointed people.
Yeah, I agree. I think that athletes need to take a stand, whether they're part of it or not. And I think before, when maybe some of these decisions weren't so critical or so divisive, I think it was easy for them to just say, we represent the athletes, right? The best interest of the athletes. And, you know, certainly anybody that's going to compete in a semifinal or in at the CrossFit Games, would have something to gain by being aligned by the PFAA because they're looking out for their safety when it comes to, box height and rope length and, is this a fair standard, that kind of thing. But when it comes to when they're putting their foot down and saying like we have demands, I agree. I think we need to know who exactly are they representing, because it can't just be this sort of blanket statement of, we represent the interests of the athletes. It's like, okay, but you're asking for some serious shit.
Well, I mean, I hear what you guys are saying. I'm not totally disagreeing, but I think the other perspective that I see is that they're also trying to throw some leadership with some confidence in there too. And I think that they're trying to say, we don't want to be pushed over anymore. Like, they need to have an important part, or they need to be a part of some of these conversations. And so I think that's where the language of the demands come from. I hear what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying, whenever I see things, just because of the nature of who I am, I like to look at like, okay, what's behind the behavior of what's making this happen? What is the behavior? What's encouraging this response? And I think it's something that they started 4 years ago, and they're feeling is incredibly like it's so important right now to make sure that they're heard loudly.
They started it though, and they haven't been inclusive, in my opinion. There are 8 people signed to those demands. If it's a demand of 8 people or a demand of 200 athletes, that's a very different demand.
Or 2,000.
Right. I've asked semifinal athletes. None of them have asked to be a member of the PFAA. I've asked masters athletes. None of them have been asked to be members of the PFAA. Now the PFAA is stepping in to work with things like Wodapalooza SoCal. They're moving in to work with NorCal Classic. Now you're representing all the athletes in that field. Those are community events. Those are semifinal level athletes. Those are masters athletes. Those are teen athletes. How can you say you represent all those athletes when you're not letting any of them be members of your association?
Well, I think we need to get more information about it ourselves.
I think they need to give us more information, like they're demanding of CrossFit.
Sure. I'm just saying, just as you've been saying, we need to wait until we have all the information. Hey, maybe we also need to make sure that we have all the information.
Right. I'm not arguing with Amy that I think that the athletes need a voice. I do think they need a voice. I do. And maybe the statements that were made are valid across more people than we think. I'm asking just for the transparency that they're asking for in what athletes are making this statement.
Right. And that becomes really difficult now that, Dave's head's on a platter. Like I think that doing that is going to make it very difficult for some athletes to come out and say they're a part of it.
Yeah.
Regardless.
Because it's so, what's that?
Put it out there for them to be allowed to be a part of it and to have a voting right into what the demands are.
Yeah.
And then if you say like, we have a membership base of 1,000 people and 73% voted that we want Dave on a platter, that means something.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I may or may not agree with this, the requests made. They have the entitlement to make them. I just want to know what impact it truly has by how many athletes are involved.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was premature, and I think it became very divisive in the community.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily agree with the last demand either. But I just am trying to look at it as, I think we don't have all the information about the PFAA. And I hear what you're saying, they haven't given us all the information or any information, but
yeah.
Well, we all just sit back and scroll Instagram and wait for someone to make a post, unfortunately, is how we get all of our information, which also sucks.
Yeah.
That is such a bad precedence that the entire CrossFit world is bad at. Just this,
Yeah.
like this Masters thing this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Bob and Joe go on this podcast and they release this information. They go on this podcast and they release this information. Like, how do you get to all the podcasts to make sure you have everything you need as an athlete?
Hear me out. What if they had a media
Right. I mean,
that
that's
they
the thing.
utilized?
Yeah, it should be coming from their, official. And even the fact that that Instagram is the sort of channel of delivery is still kind of annoying to me. But
Yeah, we're talking. They've added a 7+ division. Like in the Masters division, are you guaranteed all these people have Instagram?
Right. I know. Emails, something, WhatsApp or.
What, Charlie?
They're probably at MySpace.
You have to write them a letter or mail it to them.
On their AOL accounts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Their dial-up connections.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. We need a lot more information about a lot of things. Still left unanswered. You guys got my text this morning about the medical examiner's information that it could take another 6 to 8 weeks before we get information on Lazarus' cause of death, which also just leaves things to churn.
Yeah.
So Brent McCarty, Wu-Tang Clan fan. I bet there have been athletes asked to join and they are afraid to say something. I know for a fact that like Carolyn Prevo was asked to join. But all that meant when she joined is she got like the newsletter, according to her. And I don't know what that, like, it didn't sound like she had any voting rights on what they said or what demands they were making or anything like that. So.
Yeah. And you remember when we interviewed Brent, he even said, maybe it was us or somebody did. He was talking about
this, Brent.
He was talking about the conversation around the responsibility of, leading that organization and how, they wanted to write bylaws and do all these things. And he's like, quite frankly, I just don't have the time to do that. I'm training to be a professional athlete. And I remember even thinking to myself, like, I wonder if, someone like you or I, Scott, could jump in, and be that play an administrative role in that area. And, obviously nothing came of that, but he himself admits that he's like,
that's the problem.
Overwhelmed.
That's the problem. It's one man and one man's opinion and one man writing, not a unified athlete group. If you get dues from people, like my professional association, I think the dues yearly are $60, right? It's not anything that breaks the bank, but what you can do with that money is then hire someone to write the bylaws.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's where I think they need to go. But that's where I'm going to leave it today, unless you guys have something else. I have a 1:00 meeting here in Eastern time. So
real jobs. They suck.
Yeah.
So I just want to come get everybody revved up and then walk out.
I don't even have any food in my kitchen. God.
And not even a can of tuna?
Nope. Nothing. Nope. All empty. I'm going to have to go shopping before school starts.
All right, guys. Well, if you guys don't have anything else, thanks for being here. We're here every week. Next week, we'll kind of recap the weekend from the Masters. Don't forget to support the teams, too. They're going off in Michigan this weekend. Everything's going to be streamed, so you can check those out on games.crossfit.com or their separate YouTube channels, I believe, as well. So go ahead and check that out. We will see everybody next time on the Clydesdale Media Roundtable. Bye, guys.